Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Joyce Meadows of the Brain From Planet Arous, which is right up here.
Uh-huh.
And now everyone can get the special edition Blu-ray DVD. It's coming out from the Film Detective June 21st. That's very exciting. So the movie came out 65 years ago. So what you just talked about doing interviews and stuff for it, and you do special features on the Blu-ray. What's it been like for you to revisit the movie and memories of making it?
Well, I have not seen the new one yet. I haven't received one yet, so I've got to talk to Vicky.
They sent one to me, but not to Joyce, who was
That's
in the
right. You
movie.
guys are first, to be honest with you, Neil, that movie has been following me around most of my career like a little puppy. It really did. I cropped up about people remembering it or telling me about it. I one time went into a video store with my friend, and you remember those, and we were buying a video, and she said, this is Joyce Meadows. You wouldn't have her video in here, would you? And then he goes, Joyce Meadows from the Brain? And I'm trying to keep her quiet. And she says, yes. So he says, just a minute. So he runs in the back and brings out 2 or 3 things for me to autograph. And so he could put it up on his wall, an autographed picture and this and that. And just little things like that kept happening my whole career. And I'd be on the memorabilia, and people would want me to talk about the Brain also, or it just, the subject of the Brain from Planet Arous popped up somewhere all my career.
Yeah. Now, were you always happy to talk about it? Did your opinion or feelings change at all during the years about being part of the Brain?
I was always happy to talk about it. I have to be honest with you. They were fans who asked the questions, and then they'd ask other questions about your career and so on. And I was always forthright in just, telling them whatever I could remember about the Brain. And yeah, I don't ever remember being disgusted or wishing they hadn't brought it up or anything.
I'm happy about that. Every once in a while you get someone the opposite, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, sometimes big stars, like I knew Steve McQueen, and on an interview he said, I just finished The Great Escape and I did this and that. And when I go out on interviews to support a movie or whatever, what is it they want to talk about? That's horror film he did.
Blob, yeah.
The Blob, and this is the way we go. The Blob. So the Blob. That's all they want to know about the Blob. So he was one that wanted to talk about all the other great work he's done, but the first questions were about the Blob. That's what he said anyway.
Yeah. On the commentary track, the historian they have doing it, he talks about asking Robert Fuller some questions. And apparently he had retired from doing interviews, but he was willing to talk about the Brain because it meant a lot to him. And he also said that he said great things about you when they talked to him.
Oh, well, it was the first time we met, and we were peers, and of course played brother and sister in the movie. The only sad part of that movie is I wish somehow he could have escaped from the Brain and had more to do, because he was a very good actor, and I really, I liked working with him, and I thought, why didn't they just let him carry on further in the script?
Yeah.
But and I ran into him on some memorabilias, and that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, he was the most popular thing of both of those different memorabilia. He did the Western memorabilia because of his TV show.
Yeah.
He was the most popular person in the place. And, and of course he has a lot of charm, and he was really nice looking, and all of that. So
yeah.
he did.
How about John Agar? You did several films with him.
A
What was he
gentle,
like? What was he like to work with? He's great in The Brain.
a gentle soul. He really is. And it was so cute. He was very reluctant. The hardest scene for him was when he had to attack me as the brain, as the bad brain gore.
Mhm.
And he kept saying, I don't know exactly, trying to say, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do and how far they're going to go with this before they say cut. And he was very concerned because I don't think he did too much of that in his films, attack
Yeah,
a female. But John had, he's never done theater, but he had a natural way of committing. And I'm talking shop now, but it made it such a nice thing to communicate. He had wonderful commitment, communication with the actors, and it made for a better relationship. I thought we had a very strong romantic relationship in that movie, and that's because we both just naturally fell into communicating with each other and giving back and forth as actors, if they're good,
hmm
can do,
yeah. When
and that's mostly my feeling with him.
you talk about that scene, when he's under when Gore takes him over the brain and he attacks you, was that controversial at the time? A scene like that in the movie?
uh well, I imagine it was. I imagine it was a little because the reason I say that is because if it was done today, most of my clothes would have been ripped off. As it was, he, just something around my sleeve and up around here a little bit and so on. Yeah, I'm sure that they made sure they didn't go too far,
Mhm. Yeah.
with it because of that.
Yeah. And you were saved by George, the dog, who was very nice of George. Any memories of the dog?
Yeah, well, that was, and also that's where the good brain took possession. But he was a beautifully trained dog, and I love animals, and we got along really good. I mean, I always wanted a German Shepherd for a dog after that, after that movie.
Yeah. Did you end up getting one at any time?
I live in apartments, and I didn't think that a big German Shepherd could be happy in a big old, big apartment like that.
Yeah.
But I really love that breed. They're so smart. Boy.
You talked about John not doing theater, and you came from the theater.
Yeah.
How different is that coming from the theater and doing film acting? Because I assume they're much different when you're playing to the audience and when you're playing to the camera.
Yeah. And there's totally two different technical techniques, in the theater.
Mhm.
And usually in a play, it's consistent, one act, two act, three act, and then. Well, in film, you may start the first day way into the script. So you gotta kind of remember a lot of things so you can make sure you connect. Because the first scene may be the third or fourth day of shooting, or later than that. So you can't telegraph what you've done. You've got to really commit to the moment of each and everything so it connects with whatever else you do. And that, as a new actor in film, became very challenging to do because nothing's in sequence.
Right.
It is in the theater. I think that is the biggest challenge of all, is to always make sure you've can have a follow through. If you felt a certain way in scene 2 and you've got to talk about it in scene 3, well, you got to remember exactly how you felt in scene 2. Or, it's got to all kind of go together. And I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. And you also wouldn't have the immediate response from the crowd to to know.
Well, yeah, you have the audience.
Yeah.
But I've been in the theater sometimes, especially when you do drama, where you can hear a pin drop and you think, is there anybody out there watching? And all of a sudden you hear the clapping. But boy, I'll tell you, it can so quiet sometimes, in the theater, and you wonder, do I have an audience out there?
You have a preference? Do you prefer theater acting over
Well,
film acting, or vice versa?
I I enjoy whichever one I get into, but to honestly, I'm a theater person. I started in the theater and I fell in love with the theater. It was my first love. It's what inspires my acting more than anything, you know, because even when I did television, I always went back to little theater and did plays in the meantime. So you might say the theater was the foundation, sort of, for my acting.
Is that now what made you want to be an actor? Did you go to see plays or did you watch movies and TV?
You know, I don't think any of that. I was singing when I was 2.5 because my auntie gave me a song to sing all through, even in Canada. That's in Canada, and I was in Christmas plays because I could bring, even as a child, things to a character to life, and or I love to sing and all of that. None of my family is that way. My sister a little bit when she got in high school, but I don't know. There's a term they use in the theater. If you can't answer a question like that, you say, "I was born. I was born to the purple." They say
Hmm.
that's an old 20s 30s expression when theater was big, and that's what people told me to say. I was born to the purple. Well, I've been performing all my life, so, and that came natural. And then I fell in love with the theater in high school, and no boyfriends came before a rehearsal. Let's put it that way. That's her. So it's just been there, Neil, all my life, really.
You said since your family, they weren't involved in the theater. How did they feel about you pursuing that? Were they supportive?
Strong cons mostly. My mother was the only pro for it.
Mhm.
And, I had different boyfriends when I got out of high school, dating and so on. And some of them knew that I was coming to LA, and they said, "Well, I'll let you go for 2 years. And you are going to, you can't stay there forever," and so on. And I didn't argue with anybody because I knew what I was going to do.
Mhm.
And then I came to LA and got into the Hollywood Studio Club. And at that time, Kim Novak, Rita Hayworth, I Love Jeannie, they were there at that time.
Mhm.
Same time I was.
So how did you get involved in the Brain?
How did I get involved? You mean
Yeah,
how did?
how did it come about? Did you audition for the Brain of Arous?
Oh, I thought I was just about to say, didn't I already tell you that? But that was at the
Hmm.
last interview. No, okay. Jack Marquette, who was a cameraman. He was a cameraman behind General Hospital, not General Hospital, but oh, Dr. Christian and Sea Hunt and Man in the Challenge. And he called me up one day. He said, "Come to the office." He said, "I've written a script, and the part in it is a young girl, but she's supposed to be, even though she's not a scientist, very strong, very strong." He says, "I've been watching your performances and what you've been doing." And he said, "I've been very impressed with your acting." And I thanked him, how you do. And he said, "Yeah, I wrote the script. It's a science fiction. Does that bother you?" And I said, "No, I love sci-fi. I always did. I mean, I read books about aliens and things."
Oh, very cool.
And so he said, "Well, I'd like you for the part." I didn't even audition. He just offered me the part, Neil. That shocked me.
Mhm.
I thought I was going to take some scenes home, like you do,
Yeah.
and you work on it, and then you come back and you read for the casting director, and then he takes you into the director and producer and so on and so forth. But a script was handed to me, and that was it. Yeah.
So you were a sci-fi fan. Do you have
Uh,
any favorite science fiction movies or stories?
Well, I have a hard time between Encounters of a Third Kind and E.T.
Two great
I have a
movies.
hard time deciding between those two.
Yeah.
I love them
Both
both.
Spielberg movies. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because my stories and some of the books I read, did you ever read Methuselah's Children?
I have not actually.
All right, I found it in an old Pickwick store upstairs. And it's about a group of people who never got old because they were from somewhere else. And they always had to move because pretty soon people became aware of things, you know. And I guess I just didn't get into real monster, like they're going to come and destroy the earth. The
Mhm.
Brain from the Planet Arous was the first movie I saw that somebody was going to destroy the earth,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, but it did also
Right.
have a good alien that was coming to help.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, but I'll tell you, I there's something that I really believed in Encounters of a Third Kind. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something like
Well,
that.
both
And
of them are more hopeful about, if aliens did come here, they would want to interact with us.
well,
And E.T.'s about him wanting to
psychologically,
go home, and yeah.
my feeling is that if somebody can travel by the speed of light forever how long and come on Earth and be an alien on this Earth, they must know a lot more. So can they really be bigoted, prejudiced, hateful? They've probably accomplished a lot of those negatives before they even got here. I mean, that was my kind of
Yeah,
young
that's like the basis of
theory.
the original Star Trek is, we're beyond all these prejudices and things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, I never missed Star Trek.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan as well. Yeah.
And I never, and I love the first few Star Wars that I saw.
Mhm.
Um, and so on. But Star Trek, man, I never missed them.
You have a
Never.
favorite character on Star Trek?
What? Huh?
A favorite character on Star Trek?
Well, besides Kirk, he was so cute. But no, actually, my favorite character, Spock.
Yeah, Spock's great.
Spock was my favorite character.
I have a hard time doing this, but
And also on Star Wars, I've got a thing about so big, laying on my bed of Yoda.
oh, very nice. I have a Yoda. Actually, he's behind Frankenbear here, so I can't get him at the moment. But I have a
And
Yoda.
I have a picture with the Yoda that was made at the memorabilia.
Oh,
And I
nice.
had somebody take a picture of me. He was my favorite character in Star Wars.
I love Yoda as well. Very cool.
Do you?
I actually, it's cool that you are a Star Trek fan and science fiction fan because you got to on the Brain, you got to work at Bronson Cave, which all kinds of science fiction movies that has
Yeah,
shows have filmed it. Um,
it's everything.
what
But
what is that like being there?
well, when you first walked up, it was like it was famous already because how many movies had been done there and everything. And it's not a very large cave. Now, to do our little feature, which we wanted to, the people about that property have gotten a hold of it and they've roped it off and sealed it. And you cannot, unless you pay thousands of dollars and have a good reason why you want to be there. And that was very sad because in our little introduction, we wanted to use the cave
Yeah.
and we couldn't. And of course, a lot of the movies and hundreds of Westerns and everything were shot out by Chatsworth because those are the weird rock formations and everything just happens to be out there. And it's a lot of sci-fi and Westerns, and the Iverson Ranch is what it was called. Mr. Iverson owned thousands of acres out there.
Yeah.
All
We
the
have a
West-
connection because a couple of years ago, before they actually roped it off, because that's actually been a recent thing that they roped off Bronson Cave. But I filmed a movie out there, and I have a part in the cave, and it comes out
Wonderful.
later this year. So it's very cool.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I visited the cave because we did a funny little thing that we put on Facebook, and I had my picture taken in front of the cave. but that was before they roped it off too.
Mhm.
And it was very frustrating because I mean, they wanted not hundreds, thousands.
Yeah.
I guess it got too, I guess it just got too famous. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
it's in, that's a big part of film and TV history, that cave.
right. And
It's not just a bat cave. A lot of people think it was a bat cave, but many things.
yep, it surely was. And it had little, it wasn't a big cave, but it did have several. Well, you were in there, so you
Yeah.
saw. So, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't as big as I actually envisioned it in my mind until when you got there. But it's still, it's even when you're there, you think of all the different things that have been filmed there, and it's a cool,
Yeah.
just a cool feeling.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a, well, I bet it's one of the most famous caves ever, you know.
I would, yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
did you see the brain when you're making the movie? When's the first time you actually see what the brain looks like?
It appeared in a corner in the cave first.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest of the time that we encountered it, or it was, you know, and then this, that, we had to improvise that we saw it. And it wasn't until the very end when it started to attack me, and then John took the axe and we were attacking the brain at the very end. But I only saw once and I laughed because it had a string.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. I said, I hope that doesn't show in the movie.
Yeah, it does, but it's part of it.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, it's part of the charm of the movie, I think. Yeah.
Well, they say I guess maybe in the Blu-ray it doesn't.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think they've I watched it last night, and no, you can't see it.
And I think they did that because let us see it, because he was real scary in the dark and was lighted up and everything. And that was a good image to see. That always came back to me whenever I had to encounter it, to be frightened and all of that.
Yeah.
To see it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that, but that's the only 2 times that we saw it.
What did you think of the movie with the first time you saw it? The finished movie.
It was it was so scary for me to see myself up on the screen. I was very scary. I was a type that never went to rushes, because I would have said, oh God, now I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd have done this. And you go on the set with all these wishes and you're supposed to do something new because you can't change what's there, what you've already done. And I worked very hard to get rid of that. Very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But it was on a, nice big screen. And, I never saw a movie until I was 10 years old.
Oh, really?
And I thought of that. And I thought, when I saw my first movie, I had no idea that I'd be sitting here watching myself. Yeah, it was in Montana. We were out in the prairie in Canada. We didn't even have modern conveniences. No electric lights, no running water. No, so we're going to have a movie? No, you can't, out on the farm. And so in Montana was the first time. And I sort of thought of that when I first, and I kind of thought, very grateful to have a career that opened up like that,
Mm-hmm.
Even though I sat there and every time I came on, I was starting to do this and I would look,
Uh-huh.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I understand a lot of actors feel that way. So,
Yeah. My co-host on the show, Trista, who couldn't be here today because she's actually got a job, but she's she has a gig. She's an actress in LA, and I don't think she enjoys watching herself on the big screen either.
She doesn't enjoy it, no.
No.
Well, good. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet her.
Yeah, she was very excited to do this, but she couldn't make it here, unfortunately. But she does. Yeah.
That was, if she's working, that's a good reason why.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'd
Very
take
good
her off the
reason
show.
why. Yeah.
But
So,
so you saw it with an audience for the first time? The first time you saw the movie, you saw it with an audience?
yes. I never went to rushes.
Mm-hmm.
And I never did go to any kind of rushes. even in TV. You could go, if you had a 2-hour lunch period, you could go see the rushes if you wanted.
Yeah. What's your reason for not doing those? You'd rather wait and see the finished project?
Well, I told you how I felt as far as doing TV. If I didn't like something, I couldn't drop it in my head, and you had to do the next scenes. And you can't be committed if you're griping about what you didn't do that you saw at the rushes. So I just didn't want that agony. So that's why I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
They had a little clip of an interview you did on there, and you said about like putting the hat on was your idea, and you did a lot of like things when you're making it that were weren't in the script. Did you do that on everything you worked on, or this in particular?
You mean in the movie?
Yeah. You talked about not ad-libbing, but just little things like you put the hat on in the in a scene.
Oh yeah. I can't remember all the little nuances, but sometimes, mostly because the sixth sense was being sure I hit the mark, all my marks, because Jack and the director had set up the camera where we would walk into close-ups or walk into a 2-shot and stuff, because they didn't have the time to cover. So when you had your directions, you walked into a close-up sometime, or you walked into a 2-shot or a full shot, and so on. And that took a lot of part of my energy, but there were a few times where, the screaming, the way I fell down the hill, all of those were my ideas. My wardrobe was my idea. I brought my own wardrobe.
Oh, well, that's good.
And my hair, whatever it was my idea, because there was no hairdresser. And there was a makeup artist. And I'm trying to think of I'd have to see it again, because if I saw it, it's been quite a while. So when I watch the Blu-ray, I'll probably pick up little things that I did that now I've forgotten, because sometimes you do things and you forget it right away because it fit the moment and you're on to another moment. So you don't, you just let that go and go on. And because a lot of the kind of romantic scenes with John, the director just let us go and work together. He didn't say, I want you to feel this way or do that or something. He just leave it open, and we went for it. And so it was what John and I did together, really, on some of those. Yeah.
Besides
Not any direction.
Did you guys hang out at all together? Were you friends outside of the movies?
No, not really. Well, maybe lunchtime we did, and he shared some of his life and I shared some of mine. And I got to know him good enough to ask him about his difficult period, which was when he married Shirley Temple, and what happened after that a little bit. And, and then Robert would show up, and we shop, we get a bunch of actors together. They talk about movies they like, or something they like, or who are you studying with, or have you studied, and found out. That's where I found out that John never did any theater, and that's where I found out that he had a lot of film training by John Wayne.
Wow.
Brought him into the movies. Things like that. Yeah.
That's a big name to be
chit-chat.
running. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know if it was hard for him to put the contacts in for the brain?
Yeah, because he didn't wear contacts to begin with. And the contacts are soft contacts. Well, in order to get that silver thing, they were hard contacts. And he'd lay back, and the person would put the contacts in, and the camera was ready to go. The lights were all done, and all he had to do was get up and go right to where he was supposed to work, because he could only keep him in like for a minute, because it really started to be painful for him. Yeah. So that was a painful experience for him. But but it, it was so effective, I think, in the movie.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it looks great. Honestly, yeah. And his performance, a lot of ways, his performance is more memorable than the brain itself.
That's good.
Yeah, no, he's got great facial expressions in the movie. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you both are,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he did.
so the Blu-ray special edition Blu-ray and DVD comes out June 21st from the Film Detective. It's very fun. I get to watch it. A lot of cool specials, and it's very cool. You revisit Sally, and you get to film your flipping burgers, talking about the movie for the intro. Was that fun to do?
Yeah. Yeah, that was all part of it, Of course, my thing is I was Sally,
Mhm.
and doing where the director told me what he wanted, and I just I got committed to it. I didn't look, but when I say committed, it's not that, never do you, if you can do that, you're not afraid of doing something, and you're not looking above it and looking down at it like you're better than that or this and that. And sometimes, you just take it, that to me is what commitment means. You just, it becomes a reality, for the moment,
Mhm.
Yeah. And the writer, the way he wrote it, he's got a lot of campy stuff in it. But as a character to me, or even as Joyce, I didn't play it. I didn't try to be campy, is what I'm trying to tell you, Neil.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So I do want to
They
bring up
were
one.
real hamburgers, by the way, too.
Oh, they were. All right. Well, I hope
Oh,
they were
yeah.
good. Yeah, I could go. I think you even mentioned you hope they're veggie burgers in the.
Oh, yeah, Joyce did. I hope those are veggie burgers. Yeah. Yeah, she's saying that of Sally. Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, this has been very fun to talk with you. I enjoyed this.
Well, thank you, sir. Nice talking to you too. And I'm so glad that you are given the Blu-ray all the support. And I'm very grateful for that and talking to me. And you stay safe, as they
Thank
say.
you, and you as well. You seem,
Thank you.
yeah, you seem very healthy and when doing good. I saw you a little bit on Facebook. You seem very active. So yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm in a singing group right now. But
Oh, really? Well, that's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, but we do things from musicals, so I get to act too,
Oh, nice. Anything I would know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're senior citizens performing for senior citizens, which you're too young. But right now we're doing Guys and Dolls and Carousel,
Oh, okay.
the songs and some of the dialogue.
Well, that's
Yeah.
very exciting. I'm glad that you're staying active, and you look very youthful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So
Well,
let me know when you come out.
Okay.
The station